Hey everybody, I'm Suzanne Barrett Justis. In today's video, I'm going to take you on a little hike in the desert. Now, what I'm going to do is just do a little plein air sketch in watercolor. And I'm going to show you that sometimes getting off your usual medium, like for me is oil paint, right? It just helps you loosen up and to capture something quickly. And watercolor is one of those mediums that really does help just lay it down super fast. And this is definitely going to be a sketch, and you'll see that sometimes on these little trips that help you loosen up a little bit, it does help you when you're actually doing your work in the studio. And so, you know, obviously this is also a desert scene, and the photo reference that I'm working from to do this particular painting I actually took on this hike and working on it here in the studio here in Tennessee. And you know, if you watched last week's or the week before, you know, I also did this little sketch also from the same trip. And you know, again, it's a sketch, it's done on canvas paper, and it does help. Loosening up is really important. It's like any exercise. It may not be comfortable when you're doing it, but you're always better for it. And that's what today's video is about, is doing a watercolor sketch, and it's plein air in the desert. So sit back, go with me on this little trip, and watch it to the end so you can so I can kind of explain a little bit too about the process and all that went on. And you'll also get to meet my friend Kathy, who is an incredible artist, and that's my friend that I went to go see in Arizona, and she's awesome, and I really would love it if you check out her work. And I went ahead and posted her, you know, I put her website in the video there in the middle someplace, but I will also include it in the description below. So again, sit back, enjoy, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section. And if you are my subscribers, as always, thank you so much. And if you're not, please consider subscribing. And yeah, pack you some water. Let's go take a walk in the desert. So what happens when you get two best friends together who haven't seen each other in a while? Well, selfies, drinking, and all kinds of fun stuff. Road trip. Well, Kathy's taken me for a little hike out in the desert, and I've never seen a desert before. I've never been to Arizona before. So this is quite an adventure. And so you can see so much inspiration is everywhere. And Kathy was the best guide through the desert. She kept telling me to keep your head down, watch for rattlesnakes, and look around, know your surroundings, make sure there's no mountain lions. And I'm like, nope. Yikes. But this was so beautiful and so different than what I was used to seeing. And it was just so amazing to be out here. And you'll see that there was so much inspiration around, and we're going to get ready to do a little painting. Hey everybody, here I am in the desert in Arizona. Like, what? And I've never been to Arizona, and it's just so beautiful, and in such a different way, different than what I'm used to seeing, like what I see in East Tennessee. There's lots of greens, but it's different color greens. And so in today's video, I'm going to attempt to do a little plein air piece in watercolor of what I'm seeing. Now, it's an overcast day. I think we're catching a break from all the intense sun. It's really actually pretty early in the morning here, and yeah, we've got a pretty interesting cloud cover, and it's gonna make, so I'm not even using sunglasses. I don't have to squint, and it's actually kind of perfect for doing a little plein air. So that's what we're gonna attempt to do. And what I think we're gonna paint is this. My friend Kathy and I are out on our walk, and this is just, I don't know, I thought it might be something interesting to paint. I see, you know, I have levels of, you know, the kind of the yellow ochre in the foreground and the green directly behind it, and the saguaro cactus, you know, are like towers. And I think that might be kind of an interesting little piece. So let's see what we can do. As you can see, so much interesting references here, and I just kept taking pictures, and Kathy was so patient. I just couldn't help myself so much, and I am so excited to get painting. Hey everybody, I just want you to meet my friend Kathy. She's one of my best friends, and she's been with me. We've been through a lot, right? And we like doing things together, and she invited me out to her place here in Cave Creek, Arizona. And it's my first time to be in Arizona. I've never, ever been here before, and I'm just taking it all in. It's She's showing me so many beautiful things. And today we saw gamble quail, and we've seen the tarantula wasp, ravens, all different kinds of avian species that I don't see in East Tennessee. So it's really exciting for me. Kathy here is also an artist. Yay! And you need to check her out on her website, and I'll go ahead and leave her link here. I may even go ahead and just kind of put it right here so you can take a look. Check out her stuff. She's amazing, amazing artist, and she's a local. She's right here in Cave Creek, Arizona. What's the art gallery that the place that you show out of?
The Sonoran Art League.
She's a member of the Sonoran Art League. So you gotta check her out. Her work is fabulous, all right? So, we artists like to hang out and do artsy stuff. And like today, we're gonna just do a little plein air watercolor. So sit back and watch this. We're gonna have fun. And she's gonna be my videographer. We'll see how this works out.
Yeah.
Because, we're just out here in the field, and we're just gonna see how it goes. So, don't know. Stay tuned.
Okay, so here's what we're starting with. We have watercolors and two different kinds. I've got these two sets, portable, wonderful. I've got my watercolor paper, and I have a little graphite mechanical pencil and some water. And here, folks, is what I'm looking at. I'm sitting on a rock, so you know. And I am just kind of taking it all in. And there's my little friend Kathy. She's like, whoops! But yeah, that's what we're going to attempt to paint. And unfortunately, it's not like I have, my whole easel set up. So I'm just going to take this little graphite mechanical pencil and do just a really super loose sketch. I am using my knee as my easel, and it will also be holding my paints. Yeah, we're totally roughing it here in the field. And oftentimes when I'm doing these type of sketches, these plein air sketches, this is really just for me to document what I see, and not just with videos and photographs, but by painting it, I'm experiencing it all. I can smell this desert. The desert smells amazing. So I can experience it all. So I've got my paint kind of spread out. I've got my little sketch out. I've got my little, watercolor paper pad right on my knee, and away I go. Now I am using, you folks will laugh. It's a super cheap set, this little set, but I'll leave the link for it. It's wonderful because it's great for portability, and it's the paintbrush is like a little paint pen, and it has the water inside of the brush. So that makes doing this really handy. I'm not really dipping my brush into any paint or any water to loosen up the, to create the solution of paint on the canvas or on the paper, because I have this nifty little pen, and I'm just starting in the background. You can see, I'm sorry, my friend Kathy, who's my videographer, is a much, much better artist than she is a videographer. I kind of threw this at her, so she's just doing the best that she can with what I gave her here, and it was a little tricky, but I'll get some better video here in just a minute. But I'm just laying down the color, and if you're familiar with watercolors, it's basically opposite of how you would paint with oils, in that you put your lightest color first and your darkest color last. Kind of completely reversed from using any of your opaque or acrylic or oil type painting. So, I'm just kind of getting it in, and I'm more looking at more about value and temperature shifts. This is really not an accurate portrayal of the greens and all that I see in front of me. I'm just really feeling this painting. This is just a totally basic sketch. Now, sketching like this helps me when I'm in the studio, because when I go back to this, I will already have experienced it, maybe in a different way than you would in the studio, but because I'm actually in the field doing this, I'm hearing birds. I'm here, Kathy and I are having a conversation the whole time I'm doing this, listening to the birds, the smell of the desert's amazing. I don't know if it's the mesquite wood or what it is, but it just smells so amazing. So all of my senses are like on point here. My senses are reeling because of all this unique atmosphere that I'm not accustomed to. So it makes, you know, when I'm actually putting this paint down on this little watercolor board, all those sensations, believe it or not, are going down too. I can smell that painting. I can hear that painting. So I'm just kind of laying it down, and I know this is rough, and I know this is a really awkward way to look at a video, but stay to the end. I'm going to explain why I like doing this. And it, you know, I almost always travel with a watercolor set in my purse. It's so portable. It's so easy to do. And if you can check out one of my other videos about painting on the fly. It will give you a little insight into why I do what I do with this. But I promise, if you do this type of work, you know, do in plein air like this, it will, and loosen up, that's the key. And you loosen up with your work, it will only help your studio work so much more. Anytime you can paint from life, you're always going to be a better artist for it. Now here's the actual watercolor set and that I'm using primarily for this piece, and you can get them actually at Jerry's Artorama. I think I purchased mine. I think I had gotten it because I saw it on Instagram or Facebook. I'm like, oh, I need to have that. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. But I will say that this little purchase right there was it was a happy one. I was glad to have it. And then this is some example of some smaller portable watercolor tablets or notebooks that you can get. So when you want to travel and just, you know, something you can just put in a backpack or in your purse even, these little sets are pretty fly. I mean, I do like them. And I will leave the links for the paint and such in the description for you. So if you're looking to get a little set like this too, you'll be able to have it. So again, this is the inspiration for the sketch. Obviously the colors are off, but the basic idea of this is going down. And I'm pretty happy with it. I think I actually was looking at the other side with a little bit more of an angle, if you will. But you know, I think it's important that you see this is what I see, and this is just what I'm throwing down on this plein air sketch. And so, you know, a lot of the detail is happening now. Initially, I thought I was going to ink this in, and I opted not to. I didn't ink it in, and when I say ink in, it means that after it's dried, I sometimes go over it with a really fine point pen and just do some of the details like the bark in the tree or the branches. But honestly, I opted not to because oftentimes these field studies are simply that. These will help me do a larger piece or, you know, in studio. And this is almost like, for me, like doing a recording. Because I'm experiencing this in the field, I know that when I look at this piece later, I will be able to hear the birds, hear Kathy's and my conversation, smell the desert, all of it, you know, feel that burning sun on my skin. Trust me, we were out at 6 a.m. I mean, we got up at 6 a.m. and we were out in the desert by 6:30. So it was already 88 degrees at 6 o'clock. So we knew we needed to beat the strong heat because I think it got up to 107 degrees that day. I knew I didn't want to be in the desert when it was 107 degrees. So yeah, there's that. So when you're doing plein air, you do sometimes have to take in consideration the weather and the climate that you're working in. That can affect your art, believe it or not. If you're working in, like here, I have this amazing little water pen for my watercolors here, so all that water is right inside my brush, but you know how quickly you'd mix a color, it would evaporate so quickly in these kind of conditions. So this really was helpful in painting in the desert, this little watercolor pen. You can see the water that's inside of it, and it is pretty nifty. You can buy these pens, you know, I know I saw them at a store in DC where Dick Blick actually had these pens that you can just buy the pens. You don't have to have a set to do it. But this pen does come with this particular watercolor set. As I mentioned before, when using watercolor, you put down your lighter values first and then your dark values last. So I'm kind of putting in the branches of the tree and just kind of feeling my way. So I'll start putting in more of the dark values here and, you know, kind of build this piece up a little bit. Again, being that it's a sketch, it's just a way for me to get a feeling for this actual moment in time that I'm experiencing. And I think I'm being successful at that. I actually can feel it. creating more depth in the piece, I'm intensifying the values in the foreground. So I'm going back over some of the cactus that I did earlier and making them a little bit darker. So you can see that the ones in the background are a lighter value, cooler temperature, and the ones in the foreground are a little bit warmer and darker in value. So this is how I'm creating depth even in this piece. And you know, I learned a lot about the saguaro cactus. These suckers are protected, and once they get, I think they're over 100 years old when they get their arms. So when you see an old saguaro cactus, they're very, very old, and they feel like skyscrapers when you stand up next to one. They're just amazing. Again, having never seen one before, I was just completely intrigued. Now I'm putting down a lot of the darker values in the tree, kind of the shadows of the boughs of the foliage, and just creating that form. And of course, always looking at where there needs to be contrast. If I have a value that are too close to each other, I either need to darken that value behind the plant, which is what I'm doing, and just kind of, so I can make that bush in the foreground kind of pop forward. So that's what I'm doing there. So yes, I'm manipulating my values mainly. Again, I'm not being as accurate with my color selection, other than I am worried about temperature and mainly temperature and value is what I'm working on here. And I'd say overall this sketch probably took 15 minutes, maybe. Not very long. I probably just 15-20 minutes total. So sometimes when you're painting and sitting on a rock, I don't know if you're all catching this, you make a sweaty, oh, it's already dissipating. My butt sweat was right there on the rock. And here we have, I'll be showing you this in a minute. And of course the hazards of painting, because I got paint all down my leg. But what a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. I just hope I did this justice of some sort. That's pretty much what I was trying to capture. And here is the completed piece. Now again, this was done on the fly with so much amazing inspiration in front of me. I was so intrigued by these cactuses and just the terrain. It was so different, and I can tell you, I am so inspired to do so many more pieces that just doing this little sketch will mean a lot for my work in studio. You can hear the sounds of woodpeckers and bees buzzing, and with a little yellow jacket. I'm gonna make sure I'm not near his house because I don't need to be attacked by a yellow jacket. I've already been stung by or bitten by an ant, but the perils of plein air, right? It's fun, and I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. This was so much fun to be able to paint out here in Arizona. I'm in Cave Creek, Arizona, and it's absolutely beautiful. So much to take in, and so this is what we were painting today, and I'm going to actually ink it in later. I tend to, do a little bit of detail. I've taken some pictures of what I saw, and we'll go ahead and finish the piece inside. I am gonna go finish my hike and see what other good things I can see. Who knows, it may end up in an upcoming painting soon. So there we go. So thanks so much for joining me today. If you are my subscribers, thank you so much as always. And if you're not my subscribers, why not? Go ahead, hit that little owl right there and take care of that little matter. You can also ring the bell for a notification from when the next video comes out. And from beautiful Cave Creek, Arizona. What's this desert? Where are we at? Where are we? What is this place called? Spur Cross. We're in Spur Cross, Arizona. Oh, the name of a trail that we're on is Spur Cross. And there you have it. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time from Spur Cross Trail here in Cave Creek, Arizona, I'll see ya. Bye. I had mentioned that I was going to ink it in, and I actually never did ink it in because here's the actual completed piece. And it is very basic and it is very sketchy, but I was able to create the depth
just, you know, with the sorrel cactuses in the background, you can see some of them are way far away, some of them are a little close up. Based on using value, you know, manipulating my value, I look at it now and I can feel this. I know it's very simplistic, and, you know, as opposed to like a piece like this, which is a lot more, you know, one, I'm more comfortable with a medium with oils, and two, I can manipulate my colors better. And actually, as you saw in the video, you know, it was hot. I left a sweaty butt print on the rock, no joke. And I was working kind of with, you know, my paper was sitting on my lap. I was juggling all these paints, yada, yada. But I was still able to do that in plein air sketch. And the experience, it was the experience of painting outside and taking it all in and actually seeing, you know, with my eyes, discerning everything, pulling it apart, dissecting it, analyzing everything. It's done on the fly, and it helps to create a better piece in studio. So I hope that you'll try doing a little plein air too, and you know, doing the sketches. And whether you're doing in plein air sketches, or perhaps you're just working from life, you're doing you know, life studies or whatever, it definitely will help you become a better artist. So again, thanks so much for joining me. And if you are my subscribers, as always, thank you so much. And if you're not, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions at all about today's video or anything, just go ahead and leave it in the comments section. I'll get to you, I promise. And if you have maybe a suggestion on something you'd like to see, go ahead and leave it there too, all right? So again, from Kingsport, Tennessee, I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.